Okay, hi everybody. So welcome to Tuesday Q&A. Got a bunch of questions today, and some of them had a little bit of a similarity, like how do I work with this in the future? But I really like the specificness of this one. It said, how do I maintain peace? So we've all had that experience um, ex- of of some kind of window of peace in our lives when it comes to the compulsion of eating. Maybe you think of that time as like when you were not binging and when you were on a weight loss trajectory. Maybe you think of that time as when you actually were very thin. Um, or we don't even have to put the word very in there. We can just say thin, and you remember that. I can't tell you how many times people were talking. They say, well, when I was, 50 pounds lighter, or back then when I was 25 pounds lighter, um, when I had this many stones lighter, you know, noticing the experience of a mind loving to get solid set data points. Like it loves to weigh things and measure things and label things and kind of put things in the storage box with, with the little piece of paper on it that you tape on that says, this is what's in this storage box, organizing. So, clear lines and boundaries and linear sort of formulations of things. And of course, it loves to know that about how to keep something that we like ongoing into the future. And there's all kinds of ideas about that. So I spoke with somebody recently who weighs and measures their food, and that can be an incredibly peaceful experience for some people. So there is no wrong way to do this. For me, I noticed that when I moved into kind of like fully mind on board, weighing and measuring, there was a sense of a sort of like management, or the whole thing being handled by data, like looking at the numbers on a little measurement scale, weighing, cups of things like you do when you measure for recipes, how many ounces of something you're going to eat, set times of day that you're doing the eating of it. And for some people, there's been so much chaos and so much disruption and so much angst and just turmoil about it all, that feels for a while like they're just being told what to do. The numbers are the bottom line. This is how it's going to happen. This is the path to follow. Just, it's simple directions, just do it. And that can offer an incredible amount of relief. So we don't need to sort of deny that exists and that happens. For me, it only lasted a certain period of time because I had a very, very deep desire, just a fundamental core within that wanted to experience peace without having to manage anything about the future. I mean, something in me knew. I'll never forget it. It was sometime in my early 20s when I still had an incredibly raging eating disorder, and I would have binge eating episodes, and then I'd force myself to vomit the food, and then I'd be exhausted and sometimes have to go to sleep for a couple of hours, even if it was during the day. Sometimes it was, in that evening hour, nighttime, and I would just fall into sleep, and I'd be kind of dehydrated and feel a lot of agony and pain, physical inflicted pain about that. And plus all the thinking about what's wrong with me. This is insanity. Anyway, I had that experience, but even though I was underway with that, like that seemed to be somewhat frequent in my life, I had the thought, I wasn't born like this. I wasn't born like this. And that just rose up somewhere. Like it just can't be that I was born missing the capacity to be peacefully with food and eating, to kind of find my way with this without data. And I felt very determined to find that. And that determination, I think, is, it can be very inspiring. It can be okay. It's like, feels like a strong sense of energy, but it's an empowerment that isn't like power, aggression, but it's got a piece of that in it. I know I have this. I know I'm not born like partial human being without the capacity to eat in balance. And the way I see it now is none of us are. No one's born with any of that kind of missing. So here's this, watching the disruption, watching all the things that come in that look like sadness and rage and disappointment and unhappiness with the body and the movement towards food yet again, and all those patterns that go on. And of course, mind being so powerful, it will come in and say, well, let's make a plan here. And it'll wonder, how am I going to maintain the peace? Because I've seen it happen before, that there's been a period of peace or not eating or whatever you're defining as peace. You're not doing the extreme off-balance eating. I'm not starving myself. I'm not stuffing myself. How am I going to stick to it? And just in the very question itself, there is I think something we're not seeing there. What do I need to do? What kind of plan do I need to make? Because who's talking? Who's making that plan? It's the mind. It's thought. Thought loves to have things kind of being able to draw circles around it, being able to put the labels on the box of the things that you're saving in the attic. Let's label them and see what's inside. It likes to divide things up and make graphs and charts and use numbers. And there's incredible value to that, watching and seeing something without it being sort of murky and nebulous and cloudy. There's something about just seeing clearly. But then it likes to grip that and stay there. What I like about the question, which most minds would have, how am I going to work with this? How can I stay in the eating peace? Is it's reflecting on how it hasn't stayed in peace before. So something has happened and peace fell apart, it seems. So in that weighing and measuring experience, which once again, if that works for you and that is feeling right for you, allow that to be there and bring that in. There is no wrong about weighing and measuring. Some people find immense relief around that. For me, I did that for quite some time. I can't remember how long. I want to say like 6 months, or I don't know. I kind of played with it for a while, on and off. But then something in me knew there was a next step to opening to trust. And that thing that I thought of in my 20s, even though my evidence was, boy, I'm a mess when it comes to food and eating. That was my thought. Like my proof here is that it's bad. The situation is not good at all. Dangerous, harmful, deeply heartbreaking. I still knew there's something here. There has to be something here. I know there is when it comes to food and eating. I just want to kind of like uncover it. Can we dust something off? It feels like something's really, really dirty and messy, and I just can't see that place. And I love that I had that. And you can just take that moment right now that you have a knowing that is available to you, that is within you, that it's built into you as a human being. I love that we say human being. That is, you could say, beyond the extremes of thought, beyond or like the division or data crunching, or numbers or weighing and measuring and analyzing and adding up and figuring that the mind loves to do. That it's just, maybe it includes all that, but it's kind of underneath holding it all up without that kind of set answer thing. You've got that. It's like the mystery of how we even got here and what's going on. Nobody knows. It's just so strange. Having a body, watching this thing happen called food and eating, incoming food, outgoing food, flows in and out, and watching that peace seems to be. We've got our head up above water, and then we're down underwater again. Kind of swimming and trying to find air. And then we're up again. And just to bring a drop of trust, even just a drop of trust and awareness to what is. So with that question, how do I maintain peace? First of all, I would say the simple answer is you don't. You don't. We're not trying to. Peace is the natural state of you as a being. Peace is who you are. Peace is your experience, your beingness, your humanness. What is peace? Let's look a little bit at what is peace. Could be, if you want to take it all the way around over here, you could have a lot of emotional disruption, but still see that peace is not eating about it, not eating no matter what your mind is talking about or no matter how you feel. You're not stuffing yourself with food, or you're not busy starving yourself. So that's a state of being too, starving on purpose. Here I am, hungry, and I'm making sure that I don't eat. It's part of the compulsive process for some people, that flip-flop and everything in between. So either not eating or eating, swinging. So there's those states of kind of aggression, pushing, grabbing, fist tight. So we've got that, and that isn't peaceful. Neither one of those are peaceful. So what's peace? A letting go of it. A letting go of either side of that. Seeing that anything we're doing there is going to be temporary. That, what's nice to see is, even if you don't have a plan and you don't know how to maintain peace, you think, says the mind, that peace will come. If nothing else, you'll go to sleep one night, you'll go to sleep. It's amazing that we sleep, isn't it? Considering the minds that we have. Looking at my own mind and how scared it can be of things. And then we go to sleep. So we have to trust enough to actually shut down and go to sleep. Pretty remarkable. So how do we maintain peace when we find it? We don't. Peace just comes like a fountain. It will be there. And if I'm not against the absence of peace, if I'm not against it, and I trust that this experience of the absence of peace is something of a teacher. It's showing me something about love, about peace itself, about mind and thought, and how identified we're getting with our thoughts. So when it comes to eating compulsion and grabbing in the form of food or resisting food, that just happens to be our particular way. It's around food and eating, but it can be any kind of reaching. That's what I need in order to be happy. Make the list, It's kind of funny to see how it kind of repeats some of the same things over and over again. I need more money. I need less of that person. I need a relationship. I need a good body. I need less anger. I need that person to come back. It'll just list it on. And it's always kind of swinging back and forth between the two sides of like absence not enoughness, and too much of something. And that, it's never just right for the mind. And just to see it's only the mind. The mind doesn't really know thought itself, isn't really the one in charge of peace. And it's just energy. Thoughts are just only energy. So it's only a thought that says all this thinking is something I can't handle, something I can't deal with. That's another thought. Now, how do we maintain peace? The mind doesn't. Peace is already present, so consider that. I love just taking a moment here, whether you felt like you've been, head in the food, or your behavior has been really wild at the moment of you're watching this, and it's been like heartbreaking and difficult and so frustrating, or you've had like an experience of rest and lack of compulsion and an openness to life, where but just to be in the I don't know space, I don't know, and see actually the safety of not knowing how to maintain peace. Could it be that I am peace already, that peace is available, that 21-year-old self that I had inside knew something about, like, I have to have been born with this. I can't be missing something. There isn't something like wrong, never to be revealed. Could that be some wisdom that just came there? And same with you. So simply trusting. I love that with self-inquiry, we can look at whatever we're seeing as the absence of peace and wonder what is going on there with compassion. I often talk in eating peace programs about two elements to bring to the process: willingness for things to be as they are, and compassion. So willingness to have this problem. I mean, I can't believe how many times I said, I am not willing to have this problem with food and eating. I want it wiped out. I want it gone. I don't ever want to have it again. I want it to just be deleted from my life. And now I don't say that because I don't know. It seems to have led me somewhere incredibly important, of the deepest value I could ever imagine, around being a student and somebody open to peace and love, loving kindness, and that compassion. So we just get to look at the disruption of peace. We get to and see what's going on there, bringing awareness, like recognizing, wow, this is really, like, that is a little bonkers here. I am really upset. Peace has not been maintained. And a willingness to take a look, noticing it's the mind and thought. It can only be thought that ever does that. Without thought, there is peace. Without a thought about what's going on, or thoughts about food or eating, thoughts about my body and weight, thoughts about the condition of life, what's happening hour to hour, minute to minute during my day. Without those old thoughts kind of repeating themselves, playing the same songs over and over, I am actually at peace. Without knowing. I really love that Byron Katie and other teachers talk about the don't know mind and how safe it is. It's actually like something sort of wondrous. I don't know. And it's not comfortable for the mind to do it, to be there. It's like, wait a minute, I want to know. But I can tell you that, like, in this question, how do I maintain peace? So just knowing it wants to grab it and keep it, please, because it feels so painful to have the absence of peace that we've experienced with food and eating. I mean, just so painful. but to let those be there and let them be our teachers. Inquire. What's thinking that's happening in those moments? There has to be thinking running that isn't true. I have to be identified with my thought. I have to be a believer of what I'm thinking. I have to fall into that and be kind of mesmerized by it in order for the peace to drop away and for the absence of peace to be perceived here. Is it true? I love identifying the thought, there's absence of peace, and here's why. Talks about the mind. Is it true? Who would I be without that story? Who am I without the story? What if it's okay to not know? Could it even be that the safest position of all is not knowing how to maintain peace with the mind? So strange, I know. That's the strangest thing, isn't it? Believe me. Like, really, there's no formula, there's no set thing. But I love that we can feel peace or absence of peace very quickly. So it's not as if that's lost on us. And I can just see that there's fear, sadness, heartbreak, anxiety, anger, stress, what we're calling stress, stressful thinking about something that we get kind of focused on. Like, if you're looking through a camera lens and you're looking through binoculars and you really want to get that focus and you're just spending all this time, let's focus in on it. Let's see what it is. And then that just narrowing down. I'm only looking at that. And it's bad. That's what the mind is doing in that moment. Trying to help us maybe get rid of that thing or something, saying, oh, this is a problem. And then to stay kind of fixed on that, of course, absence of peace. But it's nice that we have all those disrupted feelings because it shows us, wow, I must really be thinking something that isn't actually true for me. It's not actually the truth. I'm thinking it's true, but it isn't. So how do I maintain peace? It might not feel very satisfying as an answer. Like, here's the plan. But it's how do I maintain peace? I stop trying. I stop. I let go. I surrender without collapsing. Sometimes there's a giving up, total collapse, despair, kind of pity about, my plight. Why bother? I guess I'll just eat food, or I guess I'll just never eat it. I'll just stay, enforcing rigid non-eating forever, or flip-flopping in between. Not that either. Just let go of needing to know, needing to follow my rules in my mind. So you could just feel it right now. If you take a deep breath, I just noticed the body just did that. Deep breath with this moment. And slow down. Let's think about peace. What color is peace? What texture? And what's the temperature? Many of you have heard that metaphor. It's used many times, many different spiritual texts and teachers of that the sky is always behind all the weather. There's the clouds and the storms and the rain and the hurricane and everything that's happening on planet Earth. And always the sky is back there. And if we think of the sky as being peaceful, like the thing that you're born, just the beingness of human, always there, always present, always has been present for us in our lives at every minute, even when I had my head in the toilet, even when I was just stuffing myself in shame, even when I was on this rigid, very rigid diet, not allowing one bite off the plan. Any of that, there was the sky behind everything. It was just a lot of stormy emotions and a lot of fear and great compassion for all of that. To be human, it seems like we're afraid sometimes, right? It really seems so. Or angry, upset, heartbroken. Just really hit it in life, in different aspects of life. It's just what it is to be a human being. And we're all here temporarily. So inquiry is the best thing that I can see that worked in sort of a long-term way, if you want to call something working, is there was such a depth of curiosity about what's going on when there's an absence of peace. What is actually happening there? Instead of trying to grab the peace part. What's happening there? Because to inquire and see, like explore what's true, and bring compassion and curiosity to that, a willingness for that to be there, it just sort of dissolved and faded away. And peace what was left over after the thought. So I love that question. It's really beautiful, and just in the most simple way to notice how the mind loves to go into the future and get a plan for the future. I'm peaceful. Now how do I stick with it? And just relax. The only thing that's necessary is necessary, even that's not true, is just being peaceful in this moment, now. No matter what you've done, if you just ate your head off, if you're thinking, I'm going to eat something soon, just to relax. See if you can relax around the edges of that, kind of soften the way you're seeing it. Maybe take it out of such sharp focus. Just feel the presence of your body and breath. I know it's not very satisfying to the mind. It loves a big plan, loves a good story. And it's okay that it doesn't have set answers. We don't know where this is going. And it's really clear what the absence of peace is. And that's good. It's a good thing. It helps us, kind of sit back, relax, pause. All right. Thanks for the great question today. More next week, everybody. All right. Lots of love.